Okay, let's go ahead and get started in this video, and we are going to do the IK handles, and we're going to do a little bit of setup on the feet as well, so that we can set it up so that we can make it do a foot roll. So how you roll your feet and you sort of go up on the ball and the heel comes up. So it flexes. We're going to start setting that up here. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to do the IK handles in the arms. So I'm going to come up here and make sure that I'm in rigging and go to skeleton, create IK handles option box. And we are going to, here where it says current solver, we are going to change this to a rotate plane solver. And what that will do is when we put the IK handle in, I'll just show you. We're going to click here in the shoulder, and then we're going to click the wrist, and that's going to be where our IK handles go. And then let me just turn off this geometry really quick here. And you can see we've got sort of a little green line that goes through all the joints. And then we have this little circle with this little sort of white pennant at the side. This is what a rotate plane solver IK looks like. And this is going to help us later when we set up the controls to be able to rotate our shoulder in all directions. And that's why we're going to use a rotate plane solver here. And that's going to be called left arm IK. And then we're just going to do another one in the other side. Going to put it in the shoulder and then click in the wrist. Whoops, I guess that didn't work. Hold on, let me reset this. There we go. And that's going to be our right arm IK. And what you can do sometimes when you're first starting out, it's a little bit hard to select these. You kind of have to go down here in this little bit right there to select it. You can, if you need to, come up here to display animation IK handle size and turn that up a little so that it's sort of poking out of the skeleton. But we are going to set up some controls so that you don't really have to do that later on when you're actually animating. But I'll just raise it up a little. We'll set it to 4.5. Oops. How about 3.5? Let's see. Yeah, it's probably good. And then this one will do the same. Actually, it's already there, so that's probably fine. All right, so that's our arm IK handles. And then we're going to use the same rotate plane IK to do our legs. So I'll get the same tool, I'll click in the hip, and then I'll click again in the ankle. And that's going to be our left leg IK. Let me do a capital letter there. And then we'll get our tool again. And that's going to be our right leg IK. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to do a couple more IK handles in the feet. And we're going to have to use the other type of IK handle. So let me get my IK handle option box. And we're going to change this back to single chain solver, because these will just sort of bend the joints in one direction, and that's really all we need for the feet down here. So I'm going to click here in the ankle, and then I'll click in the ball, and that's going to be called the left ball IK. And then I'll do the same over on this side, the right ankle and the right ball. And that's going to be the right ball IK. And then we'll get the same tool again, and we'll click in the ball and in the toe. That's going to be the left toe IK. Don't need to capitalize that probably. And just this last little bit right here. Right toe IK. So now let me just go into my outliner and just double check because you want to always be double checking that everything is named right and all that stuff. So let me just zoom out to here. All right, so we've got the root, which is our whole skeleton, which we've already checked. And then we have the left arm IK and the right arm IK. Left leg, left ball, right ball, left toe, right toe. So yes, we have everything that we need right now. So these are all the IK handles that we're going to actually need. But what we do need to do, and I'm going to need this outliner for this probably, is we need to set up some things with our feet in the IK handles there, because we have to group them together in specific ways and then move the pivot points so that they will rotate all around the ball here when we sort of lift the heel, and that's going to get our foot roll going. So what you want to do first is you want to take this leg IK. I will do the left side first. Let's get the leg IK. And what we need to do is IK handles don't really have, I mean, they kind of have a pivot point, but you can't really do much with it in terms of what we need to do with our IK handles. So what we'll do is we'll just take this one IK handle and we will just group it to itself. So I'm just going to Control G, and I'm going to call this group left ankle. And then I'm actually going to do the same thing with the toe as well. Make sure it's the left toe that you grab. So we're doing the left side. So I'll get the left toe. I'm going to group it to itself. That's Control G. And that's going to be the left toe. And actually, let me just do one more change here. I'm just going to add my little tag on the end. I'm just going to say GRP at the end because these are groups. It's just going to make it easier for your outliner when you're looking in there. All right, so now I got my left toe group, my left ankle group, and I'm going to select the left ball. And I'm going to group all that together. And I'm going to call this my left heel pivot group. That's what's going to be called the left heel pivot. And this will make sense later on when we set this up. That's going to be my left heel pivot group. I'm going to take that same group. I'm going to group it to itself again. This is going to be called the left toe pivot group. Let me just do it all the same way because we're trying to be consistent. So I'll use that camel case method. So this is like a really weird thing to do, it seems like, to be just taking things and grouping them to themselves in this sort of weird way. But it really does work. It's sort of a system that you have to just memorize and sort of, remember for all the foot rolls. But it does work every time that I've ever tried this. It's always worked perfectly if you do it correctly. So, and I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to group my toe pivot to itself, and that's going to be my left foot group. So now if I open this, this is what the hierarchy should look like. So you've got your left foot group. Under that, you've got your left toe pivot group. Under that is your heel pivot group. And then under the heel pivot group, you've got your ankle group with your leg IK, your toe group with your toe IK, and your left ball. So that is the hierarchy that you're looking for. I'm going to just leave this here for a second. If you need to sort of take a screenshot or whatever, I'm going to just stay right here just for a second so that you can take a look at this and make sure that your group looks just like this. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to get my left leg IK, or my right leg IK. I'll group it to itself. This is going to be my right ankle. going to get my right toe IK, group that to itself. That's going to be GRP. I don't need to capitalize. And then my right ankle, my right toe, and my right ball. And if you hold down Control when you're clicking through here, you'll be able to select anything you want. If you're holding down Shift, it's going to select everything in between. See, if I hold down Shift, it selects everything. But if you just make sure that you're holding Control, you can select just exactly the things you want. And then I'll group those together. That's going to be my right heel pivot. And one thing I noticed right here is heel pivot is not quite spelled right. So let me just fix that. Now I'll get my right heel pivot again, group it to itself, call that the right toe pivot. And let me just make sure, yeah, I gotta put my little tag there at the end. It seems real sort of nitpicky and tedious to do this, but I'm telling you, once you use a rig that's a little bit complicated, even a little, all this stuff is really, really handy. So, and then I'll group that to itself, and that's my right foot group. Now let's have a look at our hierarchy and make sure that it's what we want. It's got to be exactly the same as the other side. Got your right foot group, right toe pivot, right heel pivot, right ankle. And this right here, they're on the same level, so they look like they're out of order, but that's actually fine because they're still sort of right underneath this heel pivot. And then you got your IKs inside there, so that's going to be fine. So that is the hierarchy that you've set up with your IK handles and all of your foot groups. Now what we need to do is we need to make sure that, because if you look at all of these groups, look where the pivot point is. It's in the center. That's going to really mess up our feet if we leave them there. So what we're going to have to do now is go in and just change some of this stuff. So the foot group, I'm going to go ahead and hit Insert. And then I'm going to hold down V, and I'm going to click the ball joint. And that's going to move that pivot point right to the ball joint. Actually, let me make sure I did that because I might need to do it. Now, yeah, see, it didn't work. So I'll hit Insert. I'll hold down V, and then I'll actually snap it over there. There we go. Now if I hit Insert, it will go back. Yeah, see, now if I select the foot group, the pivot point is at the ball joint. And that's what we want. So for the toe pivot, we want to do the same thing, except we want to snap it to the toe. So you'll hold down B and snap that there. The heel pivot, you will snap to the heel. And then the ankle will go to the ball. And the toe group will go to the ball. So that's how you need to move your pivot points. So you got your foot group. Mostly everything is going to be at the ball because that's sort of what everything is rotating around. So your foot group, the pivot point needs to be at the ball. The toe pivot is going to be at the toe because that's where we're going to sort of go up on our toe. That's what's going to help that happen. We've got our heel pivot group, but that's centered at the heel. And then the ankle and the toe are both going to rotate around this ball joint. So that's why we've done that way. And then obviously your IK handles we're not going to mess with because we made all of these groups so we don't have to worry about the pivot points in the IKs because they don't really move very well and they don't respond. So that's why we did that. So let's do it again on the other side. We've got our right foot group and I've hit Insert, and you can tell because it has like this little thing happening in the middle with the little yellow stuff. So I'm just going to, my right foot group is going to go to the ball. Right toe pivot is going to go to the toe. Right heel pivot will go to the heel. Right toe group goes to the ball. And the right ankle goes to the ball. And that is our IK handles. And that's also how we've set up our foot hierarchies on our IK handles so that those will be ready when we do the controls and when we set up the custom attributes for the foot roll later on. So that is all I'm going to do for this video. In the next video, we are going to start making all the controls and connecting them to the skeleton and setting them up so that they'll work. So I'll see you then. Bye.